In life, everything begins with clarity. If you do not know where you are going, every step you take will simply lead you further away. The question is not just, what do you want? The question is, what are you willing to do for it, again and again, even when the outcome is not immediate? A goal is not something you chase. A goal is something you grow into. And that growth requires structure, discipline, and above all consistency in the small things. So today, we do not talk about achieving something in the future. Today, we talk about becoming someone in the present in life. Everything begins with clarity. Just as an archer must first fix his eyes on the target before drawing the bow, so too must we know where we are going before we can take meaningful steps forward. Without clarity, action becomes movement without direction. You may be busy, even exhausted, yet not truly progressing. Like a ship without a compass, you drift, not because of lack of effort, but because of lack of aim. The question many people avoid asking themselves is a simple one. Where are you going? What is your destination? Not in terms of a job title or a number in your bank account, but in terms of the person you are trying to become. What kind of mind do you want to develop? What type of strength do you want to embody? Until this inner clarity is cultivated, external goals will remain scattered, inconsistent, and fragile. Clarity does not mean having all the answers. It means knowing what matters most. It means filtering through the noise of the world, the opinions of others, the endless distractions, and settling on a single, simple truth. This is what I must pursue. It may not be glamorous. It may not impress others. But if it is in alignment with your values, your inner compass, it becomes powerful. From clarity comes energy. From clarity comes focus. A person who is clear about their goal does not need to be motivated every day. They are not pulled in every direction. They are not chasing multiple dreams and dropping them halfway. Their clarity acts as a fire. It burns quietly, but continuously. Each morning they wake up. They know why they must rise. Each time they are tempted to drift or quit, that clarity whispers, remember why you started. But clarity must be earned. It is not something given to you. It is discovered in silence, in reflection, in stepping away from the noise and listening, not to the world, but to yourself. This is why practices like meditation, journaling, and time alone in nature are not luxuries. They are tools. Tools for removing the dust from the mirror so you can see yourself clearly. Too many people set goals based on what others expect of them. They choose careers, habits, even relationships, not out of alignment, but out of comparison or fear. When your direction is chosen by fear, your path becomes one of resistance. You feel tired because every step is against your own truth. But when direction is born from understanding, your path, though still hard, feels right. So before setting goals, stop. Do not be in a rush to act. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is preparation. Ask yourself, not what do I want to achieve, but what kind of person do I want to become in the process. This shift in perspective changes everything. It aligns your goals with your values. It transforms goals from something external to something internal. There is no shame in not knowing at first. The mind has been conditioned for many years by noise. But clarity comes with patience. It comes from asking better questions. What brings me peace? What challenges me in a meaningful way? What am I willing to suffer for not once, but daily? Because every goal, even the most inspiring one, comes with sacrifice. And only when you are clear on your reason will the sacrifice be worth it. Clarity is not about certainty. Life is never certain, but it is about alignment. When your direction aligns with your values, you begin to walk differently. You speak with conviction. You act with discipline. And the world begins to respond to you differently. Opportunities open not because you waited, but because you walked with purpose. People trust you not because of your results, but because they can sense your intention. Even when you fall, your fall is not in vain. You know why you fell. You understand what must be corrected. This is the gift of clarity. It makes even failure meaningful. Without clarity, failure feels like defeat. With clarity, it feels like refinement. In the Shaolin tradition, we are taught that before the warrior picks up the sword, he must first still his mind. Because if the mind is scattered, the weapon becomes dangerous. But if the mind is still, the weapon becomes precise. This is the essence of clarity. You become precise, not in every detail, but in your direction. And once direction is clear, the path, though difficult, becomes walkable. The beginning of setting any goal is not a plan, not a deadline, not a strategy. It is this, a moment of honesty, a deep conversation with the self, and this conversation is where clarity is born. A goal is not something you chase. A goal is something you grow into. This is a fundamental misunderstanding that causes many to give up too soon or to become impatient with their progress. In our modern world, we are trained to believe that goals are external objects we must run after, seize, and conquer. But the truth is more subtle, more internal, and more enduring. A goal is a reflection, a mirror of the person you must become in order to receive it. You do not chase it, you prepare for it, you align yourself with it. You elevate your thinking, your habits, your discipline, until the goal is not something distant, but something natural to who you are becoming. When you treat a goal like something to chase, it always stays just out of reach. The harder you run toward it, the more desperate your energy becomes, and desperation does not lead to mastery. Desperation leads to frustration, shortcuts, and inconsistency. This is why many people start strong, full of energy, but quickly burn out. They do not understand that sustainable progress requires a different mindset. It is not about running fast. It is about walking with intention, with presence, and with awareness of the inner change that must happen. If you plant a seed and demand it to bear fruit the next day, you do not understand nature. Growth takes time. Roots must go deep before anything rises above the surface. And yet, most people abandon their goals because they do not see immediate results. They forget that growth is happening beneath the surface, quietly, invisibly, steadily. You cannot rush it. You can only nurture it. And the way to nurture it is through consistent, disciplined action that aligns with the person you aim to become. Ask yourself, are your daily actions in harmony with your goal, not just occasionally, but consistently? It is easy to act in alignment once a week, but real transformation happens in the invisible moments, the ones no one sees. It happens when you train while others sleep, when you practice patience when your mind wants to quit, when you do the small things over and over again without applause. These are the bricks of growth. And each brick laid with care brings you closer, not to the goal itself, but to the character required to hold that goal. This is why so many people who reach their goals feel empty. They were so focused on chasing the result that they neglected the person they were becoming along the way. The achievement comes, but there is no depth to hold it, and just like water in cupped hands, it slips away. But when you grow into your goal, step by step, decision by decision, you create not only the outcome, but the capacity to sustain it. You become strong enough, wise enough, and disciplined enough to carry the weight of your success. In the Shaolin tradition, we are taught to focus not on the result of the training, but on the quality of the process. If you train the body daily with attention and presence, strength will come. But if you fixate on strength and skip the process, weakness follows. The same applies to every goal. If you become the kind of person who wakes early, manages energy, respects time, remains disciplined, and keeps commitments, then the goal, whatever it may be, will arrive naturally. You are not chasing it. You are preparing yourself for it. There is a quiet power in slow growth. It is not dramatic, but it is deep. It does not shout, but it is steady, and over time it builds something unshakable. The world often praises the fast, the loud, and the immediate. But the wisest among us understand that greatness comes from becoming, not from grasping. And becoming requires patience. It requires humility. It requires the willingness to embrace discomfort not as punishment, but as a sign that you are expanding. Many ask how long it will take to reach their goal, but this is the wrong question. The better question is, how long am I willing to walk this path, regardless of how long it takes? When this becomes your mindset, your relationship with time changes. You stop seeing time as an enemy and start using it as a tool. Every day becomes meaningful. Every action becomes sacred, because you know that each step, no matter how small, is part of the transformation. Let your goal be a compass, not a finish line. Let it remind you of the direction, not the deadline. And as you walk, do not be in a hurry. Life is not asking you to be perfect. Life is asking you to be present, to be deliberate, to become. And when the time is right, you will not need to chase the goal. The goal will recognize you, because you have become the one who is ready to receive it. Structure, discipline, and consistency in the small things. This is where real transformation begins. While many people focus on the big moments, the breakthroughs, the achievements they can show the world, it is always the small, often unseen habits that shape a person's destiny. The foundation of any great accomplishment is built not in a day of glory, but in the repetition of ordinary acts done with extraordinary commitment. In the Shaolin tradition, we do not celebrate loud victories. We celebrate the student who shows up every day, bows with respect, trains with focus, and returns the next day to do the same. Discipline is not a punishment. It is a form of love, a love for your future self, a love for the process, a love for the growth that comes with consistency. It is easy to act with intensity once in a while. Anyone can be motivated for a few days, but what builds strength, inner and outer, is not intensity, but continuity. You do not become strong by doing something once. You become strong by returning to it again and again, especially when it's difficult, especially when no one is watching, especially when the mind resists. Small actions may appear insignificant in the moment, but over time they become powerful forces of change. Brushing your mind clean every morning through reflection, moving your body with intention even when you feel tired, choosing focus over distraction, even for a short period. These things are not impressive when done once, but done daily, they shape a person who is stable, sharp, and grounded. The greatest mistake is to overlook the small because it does not offer instant reward. But those who understand growth know that the smallest habits, repeated with care, are the true secret of mastery. Structure provides the container for this discipline to thrive. Without structure, the mind wanders. Without structure, energy is scattered. When you wake without a plan, your actions are dictated by impulse, not intention. But with structure, through routines, rituals, and boundaries, you give your energy direction. You train the mind to obey purpose, not mood. This is not about being rigid, it is about being prepared. A structured life is not a boring life. It is a focused one, and with focus comes clarity, efficiency, and peace. We live in a time where distractions are more accessible than ever. The phone in your hand can take you away from your purpose in seconds. The world outside will always offer noise, comfort, and escape, but this is why structure matters. It is your defense against chaos. It is the framework that keeps your attention grounded in what truly matters. And discipline is what keeps you returning to that framework, even when everything else tries to pull you away. Consistency is the bridge between where you are and where you want to be. Many people have dreams. Fewer take action, even fewer stay consistent, and those who do, those who show up even when the motivation is gone, become the few who reach the level others only talk about. It is not about having perfect days. It is about having fewer wasted ones. It is not about never falling. It is about always getting back up and returning to the path. That return, repeated enough times, builds an identity that is unshakable. In martial arts, we repeat the same movements thousands of times, not because we enjoy boredom, but because we understand that repetition creates instinct. When you have trained consistently, your body knows what to do. even under pressure. The same applies to life. When your habits are strong, you do not need to rely on willpower every day. You do what needs to be done because it has become a part of you. The effort is still there, but it flows more naturally. It feels less like a struggle and more like a rhythm. The path of mastery in any area is not marked by big events, but by small, repeated efforts that compound over time. The power lies in showing up, not once, but continuously. To show up when it's difficult, to show up when it's boring, to show up when no one applauds. That is the training. That is the real work. Stillness is not weakness. Stillness is preparation. In a world that praises constant movement, endless productivity, and the appearance of progress, stillness is often misunderstood. But for the one who seeks clarity, direction, and inner strength, stillness becomes a necessary discipline. Just as an archer must pause, hold their breath, and center their focus before releasing the arrow, we too must find space within ourselves to pause, to reflect, and to understand before we act. Without this stillness, our actions are reactive. They are hurried, driven by noise rather than intention. But when stillness becomes part of our rhythm, our actions become deliberate, rooted, and powerful. Before we set any goal, before we write any plan or commit to a direction, there must be a moment of silence, a space where all distractions fall away and we are left alone with the truth of who we are and what we desire. This moment is not always comfortable. Silence can reveal what we have avoided. It can bring to the surface doubts, fears, or the realization that some of our ambitions are not truly ours. But this discomfort is a necessary part of the process. In stillness, we do not escape ourselves. We meet ourselves. And only from that meeting can authentic goals emerge. When you are still, you begin to notice what moves you, not what impresses others, not what the world rewards, but what stirs something deeper within you. This awareness cannot be rushed. It must be listened to. In the Shaolin way, silence is not emptiness. It is attention. It is listening so deeply that you begin to hear the quieter parts of yourself, the parts that speak not in loud desires, but in subtle knowing. From this knowing, your direction becomes clear. And when your direction is clear, your energy is no longer divided. The modern world does not encourage stillness. It fills every moment with noise, every pause with distraction, every silence with stimulation. But growth does not happen when the mind is overwhelmed. It happens when the mind is calm, focused, and connected to something deeper than impulse. This is why periods of stillness are not wasted time. They are essential training. They are how we sharpen the inner blade before entering the outer battle. A single moment of true stillness can reveal more than hours of hurried thinking. Stillness is also where we reconnect with our reasons. In the process of pursuing goals, it is easy to become mechanical. We go through motions, follow routines, and check boxes, but forget the asterisk, why asterisk. Without reconnecting to the reason, even the most efficient path can feel empty. But in stillness we remember what matters, who we are doing this for, and what kind of person we want to become in the process. This remembering brings fire to our steps. It restores meaning to the effort. There is strength in the one who can sit quietly with their thoughts. There is power in the one who can wait without rushing, not because they are inactive, but because they understand timing. In nature, nothing blooms all year. There are seasons of growth, and there are seasons of rest. In winter, the tree is not dead. It is gathering energy. It is conserving strength. The same is true for us. There are times to move, to act, to push. And there are times to pause, to reflect, to align. Both are necessary. Both are part of the cycle. Stillness also allows us to see clearly the difference between noise and necessity. Without it, we become tangled in the demands of others, the pressures of culture, and the endless distractions that promise fulfillment but leave us empty. But in stillness, we strip away the non-essential. We return to simplicity. We realize that many of the things we chase are not needs, but habits, and in this realization, we regain our freedom. the freedom to choose a path that is not crowded but true. Stillness is where vision is formed. Just as the surface of water must become calm before it can reflect the sky, the mind must become still before it can reflect wisdom. When you begin from stillness, your steps carry more weight. They are not rushed reactions. They are quiet decisions made from a place of centered awareness. And the more you return to this place, the stronger your decisions become. So in the end, setting and achieving goals is not about chasing something outside of you. It is about building something within you. It begins with clarity, knowing where you are going and why it matters. It continues through growth, not just reaching for a goal, but becoming the kind of person who can hold it with strength and wisdom. It is built through discipline, through consistency in the smallest daily actions that shape your character. And it is sustained through stillness, the quiet space where your purpose is remembered, your focus is restored, and your direction becomes unshakable. Goals are not destinations to run toward. They are mirrors reflecting who you are becoming with every step you take. When you walk this path with patience, awareness, and intention, you realize that success is not a moment. It is a way of living.